Hello, my friend, and welcome to Dreamy Nights. I'm so glad you have found your way here, to this quiet corner of the digital world at exactly the moment you needed it most. Right now, there is absolutely nothing left for you to do, and there is nowhere else you need to be. The day is behind you now, a fading map of tasks and conversations that no longer require your attention. As we begin this journey to trigger your body's natural calm switch, feel the weight of the world beginning to lift from your shoulders. We are moving toward a state of complete circadian rhythm alignment, a biological reset designed to hush the noise of the mind. Before we drift further into the stillness, I invite you to become a permanent part of our sleep community. If these nightly journeys help you find the rest you deserve, please consider subscribing and joining us for our monthly community polls, where you can help choose our next dream destination. Ensuring this space remains a no mid-ADS sanctuary is our priority. So your support helps us keep the silence unbroken. Now, let the world grow soft around you. Let the 432 Hz frequencies begin to hum within your very cells, signaling to your nervous system that it is finally safe to let go. We begin at the very threshold of the senses, focusing entirely on the gateway of the breath as it meets the cool, still air of the room. Imagine, if you will, the microscopic space just beneath the base of your nostrils, a tiny, invisible landing strip for the atmosphere. As you draw in a slow, deliberate breath, do not think of it as a single action, but as 1,000 tiny particles of oxygen navigating the delicate, silver-spun hairs of the nasal passage. Feel the air as it first touches the skin. It is perhaps a fraction of a degree cooler than your own body. A crisp, clean presence that carries the faint, ghostly scent of sun-dried linen and old, resting wood. Observe the resistance of the air as it enters. It does not rush. It flows like silk pulled slowly over a glass edge. Notice how the bridge of your nose feels. The subtle, almost imperceptible expansion of the cartilage. A movement so slight it could be measured in microns. The air travels upward, curving over the internal ridges of the turbinates. Here, the temperature begins to shift. You can feel the precise moment. The cool intake meets the internal warmth of your steady, living heat. It is a soft collision, a merging of environments that signals the vagus nerve to broaden and soften. Out now, follow the breath as it hangs for a suspended, crystalline second at the back of the throat. This is the still point. It is not a pause, but a transition, a shimmering moment where the world outside officially becomes the world inside. The throat is soft, the jaw is heavy and unhinged, leaving a small, comfortable space between the back teeth. As the breath begins its descent into the lungs, imagine the diaphragm, that broad, umbrella-shaped muscle slowly unfurling downward. It does not drop, it eases like a heavy velvet curtain being lowered by a gentle hand. As the diaphragm descends, focus your entire consciousness on the sensation of your lower ribs. Feel them tilting outward, one by one, like the slow opening of a wooden fan. The fabric of your shirt or the weight of your blanket shifts against your skin. A dry, ishwaham, the rhythmic friction that is both grounding and hypnotic. There is no rush to finish this breath. The lungs are like ancient bellows made of the softest suede, expanding with a quiet, creaking grace. The oxygen is now deep within the alveoli, those tiny, grape-like clusters that are currently bathed in the golden restorative resonance of the 432 Hertz frequency humming in your ears. Now we observe the turn. The breath has reached its fullness, and for a heartbeat, you are perfectly buoyant. Then, the release begins. It is not an exhale, it is a surrender. The air leaves not as a gust, but as a slow, steady leak of pressure. Feel the warmth of the air now as it passes back over the tongue, which is resting heavily in the floor of the mouth. The air is humid now, enriched by your own internal landscape. As it passes the nostrils once more, it leaves a lingering trail of warmth on the upper lip, a sensation that is gone as quickly as it arrived, replaced immediately by the next cool, inviting sip of the night. Your heart rate is beginning to mirror the slow, rolling rhythm of green noise, which now begins to rise in the background like the sound of a forest breathing in unison with you. You are safe. You are held. You are drifting. We find ourselves now at the threshold of the great transition. As you continue to breathe in that slow, suede-like rhythm, notice the light in your mind's eye. It is no longer the sharp, demanding glare of the afternoon, but a soft, muted teal fading into a gentle sage green, the colors of a forest at dusk. These are night mode colors, specifically chosen to soothe your optic nerves and signal to your brain that the time for vigilance has passed. Observe the edges of your vision. There is a slow, rhythmic ebb of light, like a tide, pulling away from a shoreline. We are approaching the 7-minute mark, the moment where the visual world gracefully bows out to let your internal world take the lead. This fade to black is a protective barrier, a shield for your melatonin, ensuring that your body's natural sleep-wake cycle remains undisturbed. Focus now on the very center of the darkness. It is not a void, but a texture, a deep, charcoal gray velvet that seems to have a weight and a warmth of its own. Imagine a single microscopic point of light remaining in the distance, no larger than a grain of salt. We are going to watch this light dissolve, not all at once, but in a series of incredibly slow, deliberate stages. Consider the surface of that tiny light. If you were to zoom in past the glow, you would see the texture of the luminescence itself. It is like the surface of a sun viewed through a heavy, smoked glass. It doesn't just sit there, it pulses. Each pulse is a fraction of a millimeter smaller than the last. You can almost hear the soft, but internal hum of the light as it pulls its energy inward, receding into the fabric of the night. As the light diminishes, notice the space it leaves behind. It is a cooling sensation. The shadow that moves in to fill the gap is not cold, but temperate, like the feeling of a heavy silk quilt being pulled over a warm limb. The darkness has a grain to it, a subtle, visual, green noise that mimics the soft static of a distant wind through ancient pines. This grain is your mental safety net, a constant, low-frequency hum that prevents your mind from seeking out sharp, sudden thoughts. Now, let us spend a long, lingering moment observing the transition of a single shadow across the bridge of an imaginary wooden table. The table is made of old oak, dense and cooling. The shadow does not move in a straight line. It creeps through the microscopic valleys of the wood grain. Watch as the darkness fills a single, tiny pore in the oak, a miniature canyon of history. The shadow pauses at the edge of a silver fleck of sap, considering it, before slowly, inevitably washing over it. There is no rush. The shadow takes minutes to cross a single inch of the wood. Feel the weight of your eyelids now. They are like the heavy brass doors of a silent cathedral, closing with a sweet, final sachet. As the screen before you reaches total blackness, imagine your consciousness following suit. You are no longer looking out, you are looking in. The 432 Hz frequency is now your only compass, a natural harmonic resonance that acts as a grounding wire for your stress. We are going to engage in the mundane task of counting the fibers in a single square inch of a soft, wool blanket. Imagine your fingers, heavy and relaxed, resting against the weave. Each fiber is a world. One fiber is slightly coarser, a highland wool that carries the memory of a cold mist. The next is smoother, almost like silk, slipping beneath your phantom touch with a faint, dry sound. We count them not to reach a number, but to feel the repetition. One thread, a slight twist in the fiber. Two threads, the way the wool catches the phantom warmth of your hand. Three threads, a microscopic knot where the weaver's hand once rested. This is the scene of stillness. There is no story here, only the texture of the thread. There is no destination, only the slow, circular movement of your attention around a single point of soft gray wool. The green noise rises to meet this focus, a steady ushpusit, a oceanic hiss that drowns out the uncanny valley of the day's anxieties. You are cocooned in a safe space, a non-linear dreamscape where the laws of time and productivity have been suspended. As the darkness settles fully, notice how your body feels. The vagus nerve is now fully open, a wide, calm river flowing from the base of your skull to the depth of your abdomen. Your heart rate has slowed to match the deep, rhythmic pulse of the earth itself. Every cell is bathed in the 528 Hz healing frequency, repairing, restoring, and clearing away the spiritual clutter of the past 16 hours. You are a leaf on a still pond. You are a stone at the bottom of a clear, dark well. You are the silence between two notes of a cello. The transition is complete. The light is gone, and in its place is a vast, welcoming ocean of restorative sleep. Stay here in the velvet dark. Let the meticulous process of the night take over. You are drifting. You are heavy. You are perfectly, beautifully still. We move now from the vastness of the dark into a smaller, more intimate space of tactile focus. Imagine a heavy ceramic bowl resting on a rough-hewn wooden table before you. Inside this bowl lies a bundle of dried lavender, harvested at the peak of the summer and left to cure in a cool, dark barn. We are going to spend this time together, engaged in the meticulous, non-linear process of stripping the tiny, fragrant buds from their brittle stalks. This is a task of no urgency. It is a movement of pure sensory presence designed to anchor your mind in the now and trigger a deep physiological restoration. Focus first on the stalk itself. It is a thin, gray-green wand, weathered by the sun and now perfectly dry. As you reach out in your mind's eye to touch it, notice the texture of the stem. It is not smooth, but slightly square-edged, with microscopic ridges running vertically along its length. Feel the dry, papery resistance of the outer skin. It is cool to the touch, carrying the residual chill of the stone floor where the bundle rested. Your fingers find a comfortable grip, the thumb resting against one of those tiny ridges. Now, move your attention to a single lavender bud. It is no larger than a grain of rice, a teardrop of muted purple tucked tightly against the stem. Zoom in until that one bud fills your entire field of vision. See the tiny, silver-white hairs that coat its surface, a microscopic down that softened the flower against the wind. Observe the way the bud is attached, a delicate, woody hinge that has become brittle with time. As your fingers begin the slow, downward stroke to release the buds, listen to the sound. It is a series of tiny, rhythmic clicks and snaps, a high-frequency staccato that cuts through the steady, low hum of the green noise. Each snap is a release of tension. The sound is dry and hollow, echoing slightly against the curve of the ceramic bowl. It is the sound of the earth turning toward winter. One bud falls, then two, then a small cascade, tumbling like heavy sand into the base of the vessel. The scent begins to rise now, a ghost of the summer fields. This is not a sharp, artificial perfume, but the deep, earthy, and slightly camphorous aroma of the living plant. It is a mental safety scent, one that bypasses the analytical brain and speaks directly to the limbic system, whispering that it is safe to rest. Imagine the scent as a visible mist, a soft, sage green vapor that curls around your senses with every rhythmic movement of your hands. We pause our movement to look at the pile of buds gathering at the bottom of the bowl. They are not all the same shade of purple. Some are a deep, bruised violet. Others are a pale, dusty lilac, almost gray in the low light. We take a moment to observe the geometry of the pile. It is a miniature mountain range of botanical debris. Focus on the way one bud rests atop another, the angle of its descent creating a tiny landslide of fragrance. Consider the weight of the ceramic bowl. It is thick-walled and heavy, crafted from a dark, iron-rich clay. Feel the cool, glazed surface against your palms, a smoothness that contrasts sharply with the brittle, textured stalks. The bowl acts as a resonator for the 432 Hz frequencies, a physical vessel for the harmonic resonance that is currently lowering your heart rate and smoothing out the jagged edges of your day. We return to the stalk. There is a small, stubborn leaf caught halfway down the stem. We spend several minutes focusing only on this leaf. It is curled like a tiny scroll, its edges parched and delicate. Your thumb brushes against it, and you hear the faint, crystalline rustle of its surrender. It does not break all at once. It shatters into 3 distinct pieces, each one drifting downward at its own pace. Watch the way they catch the phantom light as they fall, spinning slowly, non-linearly, until they find their place among the lavender buds. The process repeats. Slide, click, release. Slide, click, release. I think this is the Meticulous Process Technique, a way to occupy the wandering mind with a task so mundane and so beautiful that the ADHD quiet mind can finally find its center. There is no end to the bundle. As soon as one stalk is bare, another appears, cool and waiting. The repetition becomes a lullaby. The friction of your skin against the dried plant matter creates a subtle tactile warmth, a grounding sensation that pulls the remaining tension from your fingertips. Now, imagine plunging your hand into the bowl full of harvested buds. The sensation is startlingly cool and fluid, like reaching into a pool of dry water. The buds shift and roll over your knuckles, 1,000 tiny points of pressure that act as a microscopic massage for your skin. Move your hand slowly, feeling the resistance. Listen to the muffled, rustling sigh of the lavender as it settles around your wrist. This is the sound of deep, restorative 3. Sleep. A steady, unchanging environment where your body can finally begin its DNA repair and spiritual clarity. As you sit with the bowl, the green noise in the background seems to broaden, mimicking the sound of a soft rain beginning to fall outside the window of this quiet room. The rain and the lavender work in harmony, two ancient forces of nature designed to align your circadian rhythm. You are not just observing this process, you are becoming part of it. The boundaries between your breath, the sound of the stripping stalks, and the 432 Hz frequency are dissolving. The air in the room is now heavy with the dust of the lavender, a fine herbal powder that settles invisibly on the surfaces around you. Oh, it is a blanket of stillness. You feel the weight of your limbs increasing, as if they too were made of heavy ceramic or ancient oak. The task of the lavender is nearly done. The bowl is full, a treasure of scent and silence. You look at your hands, now still and resting on the rim of the bowl. They have done good work. They have earned this transition into the dreamless dark. We stay here, in this microscopic world of purple and gray, for as long as needed. Every breath you take is now scented with peace. Every click of a falling bud is a door closing on the waking world. You are sinking deeper into the soft, sage-green depths of the night, where the only thing that remains is the rhythmic, healing pulse of the universe. We transition now from the herbal, textured world of the lavender to the cool, substantial weight of a heavy brass compass resting in the palm of your hand. This is an object of seafaring history, a tool of navigation that has seen decades of salt air and dim lantern light. And now, it requires your slow, rhythmic attention. Feel the initial temperature of the brass. It is a deep, conductive cold that seems to draw the last remnants of restlessness from your skin. The weight is comforting, a solid anchor that keeps your hand steady against the soft surface of the wooden table. Focus your entire consciousness on the lid of the compass. It is a domed surface, tarnished by a thin, iridescent film of oxidation. A cloudy patina of grays and dull ochres that hides the golden heart of the metal beneath. We are going to spend this time together on the meticulous, mundane process of restoring its luster, one circular motion at a time. This is the Meticulous Process Technique, a journey where the result is secondary to the hypnotic, repetitive grace of the action itself. Pick up the polishing cloth. It is a square of undyed flannel, incredibly soft and slightly frayed at the edges. Zoom in on the texture of the fabric. See the thousands of tiny, looped fibers that create a miniature forest of cotton. As you wrap a single corner of the cloth around your index finger. Feel the way the fabric bunches and folds, creating a cushioned point of contact. There is a faint, clean scent of mineral oil and beeswax clinging to the cloth, a professional, grounding aroma that signals a task of care and preservation. Now, place your covered finger against the very center of the compass lid. The first contact is silent. Press down slightly, feeling the resistance of the metal against your bone. Begin the first circle. It is a tiny movement, no wider than a fingernail. As the cloth moves, listen to the sound. It is a dry, rhythmic shh that mirrors the pace of a sleeping breath. This sound is nestled within the broader canopy of green noise, which continues to hum like a distant wind through ancient, heavy pines, providing a sanctuary of mental safety for your drifting mind. Observe the microscopic friction. As the cloth travels over the brass, it encounters a small, stubborn spot of tarnish, a dark, obsidian-like speck. We do not rush to remove it. Instead, we circle it 10 times, 20 times. Or watch the way the fibers of the flannel catch on the microscopic grain of the metal. With every pass, the speck grows a fraction lighter. The heat of your finger, transferred through the cloth, begins to soften the oxidation. The 432 Hz frequency pulses in time with your movement, a natural harmonic resonance that encourages your nervous system to drop into a state of deep stress relief. We expand the circle now. The movement becomes a slow, sweeping orbit around the circumference of the lid. Notice the way the dim amber light of a phantom candle catches the edge of the polished path you are creating. It is a sliver of gold appearing in a sea of gray. Focus on the boundary between the tarnished metal and the clean brass. It is a jagged, microscopic coastline. We spend minutes simply navigating this border, or feeling the slight change in drag as the cloth moves from the rough oxidation to the emerging smoothness. As the circle grows, your entire arm begins to participate in the rhythm. It is not a muscular effort, but a mechanical, weighted swing. The shoulder is heavy. The elbow is loose. You are a human pendulum, locked into a cycle of rub and release, rub and release. This is a scene of stillness, where the passage of time is measured only by the growing glow of the brass. The task is non-linear and poetic. There is no deadline, no finished state that we are rushing toward. There is only the cool weight of the compass and the warmth of the friction. Now zoom in even further, down to the level of a single fiber of the cloth. Watch as it drags a microscopic particle of tarnish away from the surface, revealing the brilliant, atomic structure of the brass beneath. The metal is a mirror now. You can see the blurred, dark reflection of your own steady hand. The reflection is muted, sage green and charcoal, following the night mode color palette designed to protect your melatonin and keep your brain in a state of pre-sleep quietude. We shift our focus to the hinge of the compass. It is a delicate, precision-engineered joint. The cloth must be folded into a smaller, sharper point to reach the crevices. Listen to the change in pitch as the fabric moves into the tight space. The shh becomes a higher, thinner whistle, a tiny acoustic detail that captures your full attention, preventing AI slop loops of thought from entering your mind. You are fully present in the hinge. You are the cloth. You are the metal. You are the silence. The green noise seems to grow heavier now, moving from the sound of wind to the sound of a deep underground spring. It is a mental safety sound that blankets the room, insulating you from the world outside. The 432 Hz tone is a physical presence now, a gentle vibration in the wooden table that travels up through the compass and into your hand. It is repairing. It is healing. It is clearing the path for a deep, dreamless and 3 sleep stage. You take the cloth and make one final grand circle around the entire face of the compass. The lid is now a perfect golden moon resting in your hand. The tarnish is gone, gathered into the gray fibers of the flannel. You set the cloth aside. The sound of the fabric hitting the wood, a soft, final thud. Now, simply hold the polished object. Feel the warmth you have created through your steady, rhythmic work. The brass is no longer cold. It has absorbed your calm. Your eyelids are now as heavy as the compass itself. The task of navigation is over. You have found your way to the center of the stillness. The world is soft. The light is gone, and the only thing left to do is let the compass slip from your mind as you descend into the deep, dark waters of the night. We move our focus now to a small, handcrafted wooden chest resting on the table. Its surface, finished in a muted sage green that feels cool and smooth beneath your fingertips. This is your seed library, a collection of potential, a quiet archive of life waiting for the right moment to wake. We are going to spend this time together engaged in the slow, rhythmic alignment of these heirloom seeds, organizing them not for the sake of productivity, but for the sake of the process itself. This is a scene of stillness, a non-linear journey into the microscopic details of the natural world, designed to trigger your body's calm switch and lower your heart rate. Open the lid of the chest. Listen to the sound of the small brass hinges, a tiny, dry creak that is barely a whisper, quickly swallowed by the steady, rolling hum of the green noise in the background. The air inside the chest carries the scent of dry earth, cedar wood, and the faint, sun-bleached aroma of paper. Reach in and pull out a single, small paper packet. It is made of heavy, recycled parchment, slightly yellowed at the edges. Feel the texture of the paper against your thumb. It is slightly toothy, with a visible grain that catches the dim amber light of the room. Inside this packet are the seeds of a blue Hubbard squash. They are large, flat, and teardrop-shaped. As you pour a small handful into your open palm, listen to the sound they make. A dry, hollow rattle, like tiny wooden coins clicking together. Zoom in on a single seed. It is a pale, creamy white, with a thick, protective outer shell that feels like polished bone. Now notice the subtle rim that runs around the edge of the seed, a structural reinforcement provided by nature. Your finger traces this rim, a slow circular movement that mirrors the 432 Hz harmonic resonance currently washing over your nervous system. We begin the alignment. One by one, we place the squash seeds onto a soft piece of dark gray felt. The contrast between the cream-colored seed and the charcoal fabric is gentle on the eyes, a night mode palette that protects your melatonin production. As you set the first seed down, notice how it settles into the fibers of the felt. It doesn't bounce. It lands with a soft, muted thud that is felt more than heard. You align the seed so its pointed end faces north. Then you reach for the next. Consider the second seed. It is slightly smaller than the first, with a tiny, all dark speck near the base, a birthmark of the garden. You place it exactly 3 millimeters away from the first. There is no rush. We spend minutes adjusting the spacing, ensuring the two seeds are perfectly parallel. This is the Meticulous Process Technique at its most profound. Your mind cannot worry about the future or dwell on the past when it is entirely occupied by the 3 millimeter gap between two squash seeds. Next, we reach for a different packet, the poppy seeds. These are a stark contrast to the squash. As you open the corner of the small envelope, the seeds do not rattle. They flow like dark blue-gray sand. Pour a tiny mound of them onto the felt. They are microscopic spheres of possibility. Zoom in until a single poppy seed fills your vision. It is not a smooth ball, but a complex, pitted orb, looking like a tiny, blue-tinted moon with its own craters and ridges. We use a small wooden stylus to move the poppy seeds into a straight line. This is a task of extreme precision and absolute unimportance. You nudge one seed a fraction of a hair's breadth to the left. The stylus makes a tiny scraping sound against the felt, a high-frequency detail that anchors your ADHD quiet mind to the present second. The green noise provides a mental safety net beneath this sound, ensuring that the tiny scrape of wood on fabric remains soothing rather than startling. The 432 Hz frequency continues to vibrate through the wooden chest and into your hands, a healing resonance that encourages DNA shall repair and spiritual clarity. As you align the 10th poppy seed, you feel a deep wave of relaxation move through your shoulders. Out your breathing has slowed to match the pace of your stylus. Inhale as you select a seed. Exhale as you nudge it into place. The world outside this room, with its ads and its noise and its demands, has ceased to exist. Now we move to the tomato seeds. These are different yet again. Tiny, flat discs covered in a fine golden fuzz. This fuzz is designed to help them cling to the soil. But here, against your skin, it feels like the softest velvet. As you pick one up, it clings to the tip of your finger, refusing to drop. You have to gently brush it off using the edge of the paper packet. The resistance is microscopic, a tiny tug of friction that you observe with the curiosity of a scientist. We organize the tomato seeds into a small, perfect circle. Why a circle? Because the shape is infinite and non-linear, of much like the bedtime stories we tell ourselves to find sleep. One seed at the 12 o'clock position, one at the 3, one at the 6, one at the 9. We fill in the gaps with the remaining golden discs, ensuring each one is equidistant from its neighbor. The precision is hypnotic. The repetitive motion of your hand, moving from the pile to the circle, becomes a physical mantra. Focus on the weight of your own body now as you sit at this imaginary table. Your legs are heavy, sinking into the chair. Your spine is soft, like a willow branch. The wooden seat chest is a microcosm of the universe, and you are its silent, careful architect. The task is endless, for there are many more packets. Lettuce seeds like tiny slivers of flint. Bean seeds like polished kidney stones of mahogany and white, and the dust-like seeds of the evening primrose. We do not need to finish the library tonight. We only need to be here, in the middle of the process. The fade to black transition of the earlier hour has left you in a world of pure shadow and texture. You are no longer looking at the seeds with your eyes, but with your mind. You can feel their shapes, their weights, and their potential. The 432 Hz stone is the only light you need. It is a golden thread of sound that ties you to the rhythm of the earth. As you place the final seed of this session, a single dark sunflower seed with its striped, armored hull, you feel the calm switch of your vagus nerve fully engage. Your heart rate is a slow, steady drumbeat, perfectly synchronized with the green noise. You are ready to close the chest. The lid descends with that same dry whisper, and you rest your hands on the cool, sage green wood. The seeds are aligned. Your mind is aligned. The night is yours. You drift away from the wooden chest, away from the table, and into the deep, dark loam of a dreamless sleep. where the only thing that grows is peace. We move our focus now to the quiet, rhythmic world of the weaving loom. Imagine standing before a large frame made of smooth, dark walnut wood, polished by years of use until it feels like silk beneath your palms. This is a place of geometric order and soft, tactile surrender. We are going to spend this time together engaged in the meticulous, repetitive process of threading the loom, a task that requires your full, slow attention, but carries no weight of urgency. This is a scene of stillness, designed to align your circadian rhythm and draw your mind away from the high-stakes drama of the waking world. Focus first on the warp threads, the vertical lines of tension that stretch from the top of the frame to the bottom. They are made of a heavy, cream-colored cotton, pulled taut until they hum with a low musical vibration when brushed. But reach out in your mind's eye and let your fingernail travel across them. Listen to the sound, a soft, wooden harp-like ripple that echoes the 432 Hz frequency currently grounding your nervous system. Each thread is perfectly parallel to the next, spaced exactly 2 millimeters apart. We are going to navigate these narrow corridors of string with a single strand of unspun Icelandic wool. Pick up the wool. It is a thick, roving strand, unrefined and full of natural character. Zoom in on the fibers. This is not the uniform, processed thread of a machine. This is a landscape of microscopic peaks and valleys. See the way the individual hairs of the wool, some silver, some charcoal, some a deep, mossy green, twist around one another in a slow, lazy spiral. Feel the texture against your skin. It is slightly oily from the natural lanolin, then a protective coating that makes the wool feel warm and substantial. As you pull a small length of it through your fingers, notice the resistance. It doesn't slide. It walks against your skin. A series of tiny, rhythmic catches that act as a tactile anchor for your ADHD quiet mind. We begin the threading. The first step is to guide the end of the wool through the first gap in the warp. This is a task of extreme, low-stakes precision. Observe the eye of the wooden shuttle, a smooth, almond-shaped tool carved from cherry wood. It has a single hole at one end, worn soft and circular by miles of thread. We spend several minutes simply focusing on the act of passing the wool through this hole. Notice how the wool compresses as it enters the eye. The thousands of tiny fibers bunch together, creating a dense, velvet-like plug. But you twist the end of the wool between your thumb and forefinger, a slow, circular motion that mirrors the 432 Hz harmonic resonance. You can feel the heat of the friction. The wool resists, then yields, sliding through the cherry wood with a faint, dry hiss. This sound is your mental safety cue, a constant, soothing frequency that blankets your thoughts and prevents the uncanny valley of anxiety from taking root. Now, we pass the shuttle over the first warp thread and under the second. Over, under, over, under. This is the fundamental geometry of the weave. We do not rush. Each over is a deliberate movement of the wrist. Each under is a soft release of tension. As the wool passes behind a cotton thread, listen to the friction. It is a muffled, rhythmic sound like a steady heartbeat or the distant pulse of the sea. Or this is the essence of pink noise, proven to boost restorative deep sleep by mimicking the biological rhythms of the body. Zoom in on the point where the wool meets the cotton. See the way the soft, unspun fibers of the wool catch on the tighter, twisted fibers of the warp. They embrace for a fraction of a second, a microscopic entanglement that creates the strength of the fabric. You use a heavy wooden comb to push the new row of wool down against the previous one. The comb is made of boxwood with teeth as fine as a needle. As you press it down, feel the resistance of the wool. It is springy and resilient. The comb makes a solid, satisfying clack as it meets the wooden base of the loom. We repeat the movement. We are building a wall of softness, one thread at a time. Over, under, over, under. And the repetition becomes a physical mantra. Your breathing has long since synchronized with the movement of the shuttle. A long, slow inhale as the shuttle travels left. A deep, liberating exhale as it travels right. The 432 Hz frequency is a golden thread running through the entire process, repairing and restoring your nervous system with every pass of the wool. Consider the color of the wool as it accumulates. It is a non-linear dreamscape of muted teals, grays, and sage greens, the night mode palette of a forest under a new moon. As the fabric grows, it begins to absorb the sound in the room. The green noise in the background becomes softer, more distant, as if you were moving deeper into a cocoon of your own making. You are the weaver, but you are also the weave. There is no distinction between your steady, rhythmic work and the stillness of the night. Focus on a single microscopic knot in the wool. It is a tiny, stubborn cluster of fibers that refuse to be spun straight. We do not cut it away. We spend 10 minutes gently teasing it apart with the tip of the wooden stylus. Watch the way the fibers untwine like slow-motion smoke. One by one, they rejoin the main strand. This is the Meticulous Process Technique in its purest form, the total dedication of the mind to a task of zero consequence. As the knot dissolves, so too do the last remnants of the day's overthinking. The loom is a machine of peace. The fade to black transition of the earlier hour has left you in a world where only the sensation of the wool and the sound of the wooden comb exist. You feel the weight of your limbs increasing. Your arms are heavy, and moving with the grace of a diver under deep water. The shuttle feels like a smooth stone in your hand, a gift from the earth. We are nearly finished with this section of the weave. The row is complete. You lay the shuttle down on the walnut frame. The sound of the wood meeting wood is a final, soft punctuation mark for this chapter. You rest your hands on the newly woven fabric. It is warm, thick, and full of the lanolin scent of the hills. It is a blanket for your mind. You are drifting now, moving away from the geometry of the loom and into the fluid, dark waters of the coming sleep. The pink noise remains, a steady heartbeat that carries you toward the delta waves of the deep, dreamless night. Everything is aligned. Everything is soft. Everything is still. We move now into a space of absolute crystalline focus. Imagine resting on a soft pad of dark sage green velvet, a heavy convex glass lens. This is a precision instrument, a piece of optical history designed to gather light and bring the distant world into sharp, clear view. But for now, it is resting, and it carries upon its surface a single, faint imperfection, a microscopic smudge left by a stray fingertip. We are going to spend this time together, engaged in the slow, rhythmic, and entirely non-urgent task of restoring this glass to a state of perfect transparency. This is a scene of stillness designed to occupy the ADHD quiet mind with a process so mundane and so detailed that the world outside simply ceases to exist. Reach out in your mind's eye and pick up the lens. Feel its weight. It is surprisingly heavy for its size. On a solid disc of high lead crystal that feels cold and substantial against your skin. The edges of the glass are ground smooth, a matte finish that provides a secure tactile grip. As you hold it, notice the temperature. The glass is a thermal sink, drawing the last remnants of the day's frantic energy from your fingertips and replacing it with a steady, cooling calm. This is the mental safety of physical objects, a grounding presence that aligns your circadian rhythm with the stillness of the room. Zoom in on the surface of the lens. It is not just a flat plane, but a gentle, sweeping curve, a miniature hill of frozen light. Observe the smudge. It is an iridescent map of oils and salt, a tiny, clouded galaxy resting on the crystal. In the dim, warm light of the room, the smudge catches the shadows, creating a soft, blurred distortion. We are not going to wipe it away with a quick, careless gesture. Instead, we are going to treat each micron of that smudge with the reverence of a librarian handling an ancient scroll. First, we prepare the glass. Lift the lens to your lips and exhale a single, slow, deliberate breath onto the surface. This is a zoom-in focus on the physics of moisture. Watch as the warm, humid air from your lungs hits the cold crystal. It doesn't just appear, it blooms. A silver-gray fog spreads from the center of your breath outward to the edges of the lens, a microscopic forest of water droplets clinging to the glass. For a few seconds, the world through the lens is completely obscured, lost in a soft, white mist. This is a moment of total visual disengagement. Notice the way the fog begins to retreat. It doesn't disappear all at once. How the droplets at the very edge of the lens evaporate first, pulling back toward the center in a jagged, crystalline line. This movement is a meticulous process, a slow-motion dance of physics that you observe with absolute, unhurried curiosity. The 432 Hz frequency in the background seems to vibrate through the glass, encouraging the water molecules to release their hold. Now, take a small square of black silk. The silk is so fine, it feels like liquid in your hand. A cool, sliding presence that offers zero resistance. Fold the silk once, then twice, until you have a soft, padded corner. Place this corner against the edge of the fogged smudge. The first contact is silent, a meeting of two different worlds of texture. Press down with the weight of a single feather. Begin the movement. It is a slow, spiral journey. How we start at the outermost edge of the smudge and move inward toward the center of the galaxy. Listen to the sound of the silk against the glass. It is a high-fidelity, microscopic hiss. So faint, it is almost a whisper, a dry, rhythmic friction that cuts through the steady, low-frequency hum of the green noise. This sound is your anchor. It is a repetitive echo that signals to your vagus nerve that the task is safe, the environment is controlled, and the time for vigilance is over. With every tiny, circular pass of the silk, the smudge diminishes. Watch as the iridescent film is gathered into the fibers of the silk, leaving behind a trail of impossible clarity. The glass beneath is so clear, it looks like a hole in the air. We spend several minutes on a single square millimeter of the surface, while ensuring that no microscopic streak remains. We are not looking for the result. We are dwelling in the friction. We are dwelling in the way the silk feels as it glides over the emerging smoothness. As the center of the lens is reached, the last of the fog disappears. You are left with a void of perfect crystal. But we do not stop there. We turn the lens over and begin the process on the other side. The repetition is a lullaby for the brain. Breathe, bloom, wipe, repeat. The non-linear nature of this bedtime story means there is no climax, no tension, and no resolution. Only the ongoing, rhythmic maintenance of the light. Consider the light that passes through the lens now, because you have cleaned it with such meticulous care. The light is no longer scattered. It is focused. It is a soft, a sage green glow that mirrors the night mode colors of your internal dreamscape. The 432 Hz harmonic resonance is now fully integrated into your skeletal structure. You can feel the frequency in your jaw, in your shoulders, and in the very tips of the fingers that hold the glass. The green noise in the background has shifted, becoming deeper and more resonant, like the sound of a heavy snow falling in a forest where no one is watching. It provides a mental safety that allows you to let go of the lens. You place it back down on its velvet pad. The sound of the glass meeting the fabric is a soft, muffled whomp. The sound of a task completed with love and without hurry. Your eyes are now closed, but the image of the perfect clear lens remains in your mind. It is a symbol of your own consciousness, are now wiped clean of the day's distractions, the day's anxieties, and the day's noise. You are transparent. You are clear. You are still. The weight of the crystal has transferred to your own limbs. You are heavy, sinking into the mattress as if it were a pool of dark, supportive water. The 528 Hz healing frequencies are beginning to emerge, preparing your spirit for the final descent. The world of the lens is gone, replaced by the vast, open horizon of the deep, dreamless night. You are ready to cross over. You are ready to rest. We have reached the final threshold, the silent coast of the deep, dreamless night. Every meticulous task is behind you now. The lavender is sorted, the brass is polished, the seeds are aligned, and the glass is clear. There is no longer any object to hold, no texture to observe, and no process to maintain. You are moving now from the world of doing into the vast, supportive ocean of being. This is the ultimate vagus nerve reset, the moment where your body's internal calm switch fully engages, lowering your heart rate to its most restful rhythmic minimum. Feel the weight of this stillness. It is not a burden, but a profound embrace from the earth itself. Focus your entire consciousness now on the physical sensation of the bed beneath you. Zoom in on the microscopic points of contact where your body meets the surface. Do not think of it as a mattress, but as a vast, gentle hand that has been waiting all day to take your weight. Notice the heels of your feet. They are heavy, sinking into the fabric with a slow, steady pressure. The tension that lived in your ankles has dissolved, replaced by a cool, liquid ease. Move your attention slowly up to your calves. Feel the large muscles softening, widening, and surrendering to gravity. There is a faint, rhythmic pulse in the back of your knees, a tiny biological echo of the pink noise that has been guiding you toward this moment. Your thighs are like heavy logs of ancient oak resting in the deep loam of the forest floor. There is no longer any need for them to carry you, to brace you, or to move you. They are perfectly still. As we move into the center of your being, or notice the rising and falling of your abdomen. It is a slow, oceanic tide. Your breathing has become a scene of stillness in its own right. Each inhale is a soft, 432 hertz vibration that repairs and restores. Each exhale is a total release of the day's remaining energy. The diaphragm moves with the grace of a manta ray in deep water, effortless and rhythmic. Consider your hands resting at your sides. They are warm, heavy, and slightly curled, like fallen leaves. The memory of the silk, the wool, and the brass remains in the skin of your palms, but it is fading now into a general sensation of warmth. Your shoulders have dropped away from your ears, sinking inches deep into the softness. The vagus nerve, running like a golden cable from the base of your brain, is now transmitting a signal of absolute safety. This is the mental safety that allows your brain to stop scanning for threats, stop overthinking, and stop the uncanny valley loops of the waking mind. We zoom in now on the muscles of your face. This is a task of extreme microscopic precision. Start with the jaw. Let it unhinge slightly, creating a small, comfortable void between your teeth. Feel the tongue resting heavily in the floor of the mouth, its edges soft and relaxed. Move your attention to the tiny muscles around the corners of your eyes. These are the muscles that held the expressions of the day, the smiles, the frowns, the squinting at screens. Watch as they let go, one by one. The skin of your forehead becomes as smooth and cool as the glass lens we cleaned together. It is a vast, empty plain of peace. The green noise in the background has begun to transform, but it is no longer the sound of wind or water. It is the sound of the universe breathing. It is a steady, unchanging hum that provides a protective cocoon for your melatonin production. Your circadian rhythm is now perfectly aligned with the deep, dark pulse of the night. You are a biological clock that has found its true north. The 528 Hz healing frequencies are washing over your spirit, providing a final layer of spiritual clarity before the lights of the conscious mind go out entirely. Now, imagine yourself standing at the edge of a great dark lake. The water is still, black as obsidian, and perfectly warm. This is the lake of delta sleep. You step into the water and it does not ripple. It simply accepts you. The water rises to your ankles, your knees, your waist. It is the weight of 1,000 velvet blankets. As you descend further, at the sounds of the world, the 432 Hz hum, the green noise, the distant rustle of the lavender begin to fade. They are being replaced by the deep, low-frequency pulse of delta waves. Delta waves, 0.5 to 4 Hz. This is the frequency of the deep earth. This is the frequency of the growing forest. This is the frequency of the stars. It is a slow, heavy throb that vibrates in the very marrow of your bones. As you go under the surface of this warm, dark lake, the last of your thoughts dissolve like sugar in water. There are no words here. There are no images. There is only the vast, restorative N3 stage of sleep, where your body performs its most sacred repairs. You are floating in the heart of the night. You are safe. You are loved by the silence. The transition is complete. The fade to black is now absolute, both outside and in. There is nothing left to hear, nothing left to feel, and nothing left to be but the sleep itself. Sleep well, dream softly, and may the night hold you kindly.